Our next speech or presentation is on institutional structures for submission and implementation of ethical research proposals. And our speaker is here. I'd like to introduce our speaker, Professor Kolawole Oyedeji, who is a professor of medical microbiology and molecular diagnosis with the University of Lagos and the current chair of the University of Lagos College of Medicine Health Research Ethics Committee. He also serves as the Vice Chair, University of Lagos Research Ethics Committee, and member of the Board of Trustees of the Bioethics Society of Nigeria. He has been privileged to chair the local organizing committee for the International Bioethics Forum held in Lagos 2022 and 2023 by the Bioethics Society of Nigeria. He has graduate training in research ethics from the University of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa and has undergone numerous certificate trainings in research ethics in Nigeria, the United States, and South Africa, as mentioned. He's an accredited trainer in ethics for Nigeria's National Health Research Ethics Committee as a bioethicist and health research ethicist. His research is focused on examining the quality and completeness of ethics review processes by institutional review boards in resource-limited settings. He is also interested in evaluating the impact of ethics training on the performance and operational capacities of ethics review committees in Nigeria. His other research interests include studying the epidemiology of infectious diseases and evaluating the impact of health logistics and supply chain management challenges in sub-Saharan Africa. He is the current director, Center for Research Ethics and Bioethics Training of University of Lagos. Ladies and gentlemen, participants of the EXCEL-RITE conference, please let's welcome Professor Kolawole Solomon Oyedeji. Please give him a big round of applause.
Thank you very much, the MC, His Royal Highness. And I also want to thank the organizers of this training. I was just whispering to my friend, Oliver, one of the three musketeers. I said, this meeting is getting much, much more interesting. In fact, as much as we want to say, I want to miss this topic, you just see that there's a vacuum. Each of the topics are speaking to things that are very important for us to discuss. Again, let me stand on the existing protocols set by, I can't remember his name again now, because it's good to be transparent. Dr. Mensah, thank you for giving me the name. Yeah, this morning, I'll be speaking on institutional structures for submission and responsible conduct of ethical research. There is no way we'll be talking about this without going through a bit of history. Because I always say, history is the most scientific subject. There is nothing you're able to do without history. So what we're actually even doing today, we go down in history. And we'll be able to trace some other developments from what we are doing today. So my outline will be discussing the requirements and components of ethical conduct of research. Also, I want to clarify the institutional structures responsible for this ethical conduct, and then delineate the laws and guidelines backing ethics review in Nigeria. I was just from the bathroom now, and I met a friend, just the bathroom here, and I was discussing with him issues of people trying to actually sideline the law, maybe by the HOD or some members of the management. But I said, the only thing is we need to put our foot down to get these things done. Once you throw the first banter, every other people will fall in line. Once they know that if this is not done, like in the University of Lagos, we are moving towards that particular area. We have not actually gotten there. That there will be a circular to everybody in the institution that once you did not get ethics review, you cannot actually proceed with your proposal. It doesn't matter whether you are a student or a semi-student or a sub-student. So everybody knows that we need to actually follow the institutional structure to get proposals approved. And these are my overview. What's actually research ethics? The main requirements for writing and submitting ethical research proposal. Then I'll be talking a bit about the national code. Yesterday I was asking the question during the lunch time. I said I was in a training, and the question says, all these ethical guidelines are international, and one of the options there is National Code for Earth Research Ethics. Some colleagues argued that that national code is not an international code. Then we got to the point of asking the difference between local, foreign, and international. So if you look at it, in your mind, can you process, is our code international or not? And somebody gave an answer, which I actually debunked. He said the ones we call international guidelines are the ones people from different countries come together to write. And I looked at his face. When I crossed to Ghana, am I national or international? Then it's now left for you to know that this code also is also international. Then I will talk about the legal backing of our ethics committee, the institutional structure that we have. Oh, so it's moving? Okay. All right. Yesterday, I think Professor, the chairman, that's our chairman, Enric, defined research. Another presentation, I had also defined research. I also need to define research this morning because we're talking of institutional structures for ethical conduct of research. So we should look at what research is. There are three words here that I actually use in my definition, which is systematic, deliberate, and generalizable knowledge. And one thing I want you to go with in research, again, speaking to the fact that students sometimes want to graduate and they come 2 weeks to the end of the session to come and be asking for, we need to do our defense next week. I want to let you know that research is deliberate. It's not actually an emergency. So you must think of it and plan it. It is also intentional. Not because it's required for you to graduate, but when you are going to start that particular work, you must do it intentionally. And again, when you are doing your research, there must be the goal of contributing to generalizable knowledge. And finally, I remember several years ago, I'm sure Dr. Murphy would not remember now. I was in her office, and she asked me, if you are doing a research, why are you doing the research? I was looking at her face. I said, you have set objectives, you have your rationale. She said, Dr. Oyedeji, there must be a gap you want to fill where you are doing a research. There must be something missing. Because you are not doing a new search. You are doing what? A research. Is it that there's an object you have thought about, or there's any other thing you are thinking? So we now say, without a gap, why are you going to that research? So there's no need for saying prevalence of HPV in Maitama, Abuja, prevalence of HPV in Jabi, Abuja. What are you actually bringing out? That the population in Jabi, is it different from the population in Maitama? And in my next slide, I highlighted 6 stages of research. And the first one there is you must develop a research plan, which is a full detailed proposal of what you want to do, which we call protocol. For example, I am traveling from here. I'll just tell you, I'll be traveling to Lagos tomorrow. That's a proposal. You are not too sure whether I'll be able to, how I'm going. Maybe I'm going to swim, or run, or walk, or use bike, or use an airplane. But by the time I tell you I'll be flying to Lagos tomorrow, I will mention by earpiece, my flight time is 7:30. I'll be in the airport by 5:30. You know that if you are coming to my house by 6:30, you cannot meet me. So it is more detailed in terms of what you have planned to give. The next thing is, in number 2, you must submit to an ethics review committee, which is actually the institutional structure that gets you a good ethics, gives you a good ethics review to get a good proposal running. Before your research, you must think of what you are going to do. During the research, you must also think of what you want to do. And when you want to disseminate your result also. All these 3, before, during, and after research, requires integrity, always. So it is integrity, integrity, integrity. Now, when you want to submit your ethics protocol, you need to think of a lot of things: policy, autonomy, privacy. I was just joking with my friend from Epoma just now that I will not be calling you Mr. Policy, Dr. Ike. In fact, there should be policy when you are even submitting. One of the policies is the submission guidelines of that ethics committee. You must check it. It's the way we write the articles. You go and look at authors' information, and that's also a policy guiding the way you publish in that particular journal. So we must think of that when we are actually looking at it. And when you are writing a proposal and you want to get it ethical, there are certain things you need to think of. Number 1, the value of the work you want to do. What is the value? Why are you actually doing it? And when you are also preparing for the proposal and you are conceiving it, you're thinking in your mind, how am I going to select my participants? I remembered somebody submitted a proposal and she actually calculated 350 participants. But in our institution, there is a way we normally monitor the way you submit. We monitor what you do on the field. You submit at intervals of 3 months, 6 months. The details of what you are doing on the field, we call it a feedback format, so that you give us a feedback. This was 1 year to our project. And she said, one of the things we asked, how many samples have you collected? Because you said it's a 2-year program, research, this end of first year. Tell us what you have done. She now said she has collected 700 samples. And then we looked at 700 samples, how? We actually approved 350 samples. So she said she got to the field and saw more people and she started sampling. You know what she said? And I know many of us have that mind here too. That the more the samples you collect, the more your statistical power. Am I correct? Is it true? I'm hearing true or not true? Yeah, let's de-learn what is not really correct and learn what is correct. We always say minimum sample size. That means the other people that said you need more, they interpreted minimum to mean you can do more. Meanwhile, the statistics say the minimum that will give you the result of what you are looking for. That is where it is. So you don't need, the reason why we do samples is for us not, we don't know what you are doing. Maybe it's intervention, you don't know whether it is working or not. So we just select a particular number of people in the population so that if there's going to be a big risk, I didn't say a risk now, a big risk is just some set of people that will be affected. Then we can quickly control it. Now you go to the field, 350 samples approved, you're going to collect 700. This is first of the project. What should we do to such an investigator? No fair selection, no planned fair selection. The next thing is, if the person that's number 3, if she has balanced the potential risk and benefit of the research she's doing, she wouldn't have gone that far. And I always ask a question at this point. I'm going to draw a triangle. You can look at my hand, a triangle. And then up here in my triangle, I have the society. On this other side of the triangle, I have the researchers. And on this side, I have the researched. Can I ask, which one did you belong to? Nakelu, did you hear my question? Somebody told me that they didn't allow us to plug our laptop because he said because they don't want us to be looking at the laptop. You didn't hear my question now. You know, if I'm a teacher, you didn't come to this class. I was joking. What I'm saying is this, I'm drawing a triangle now. Look at the triangle. Up in the triangle, I have the society. On this side, I have researchers. And on this side, I have the researched. And I ask, where do you belong? Out of the three. inside the triangle. Yes. That's close. Oyuj, that is really close. We belong to the three. So if we are talking about reviews, participants there, you are participants, somewhere which you don't know. If we want to actually work or do a study on everybody that attended EXCEL-RITE in IHVN in 2025, who are you then? The researched. Whoever is conducting that work becomes what? The researcher. And all of us belong to the society called Nigeria, or the society called Biotic Society of Nigeria. So, I can only see EXCEL-RITE here. EXCEL-RITE conference is what I'm seeing on the screen. Okay. So when we're looking at the issue of ethics review or decisional structure, don't see them as bottlenecks and don't see them as a clog in the wheel of progress. We went to one school in Oshogbo. And one of the things that the investigators complained was that once they submit their proposals, because here we are talking about integrity, so we should not spare ourselves. We should tell ourselves the truth directly. Before Morenike finished, she talked directly to me, which is one of the things we do, even when we are in meetings like this. They said they submitted, some of the investigators said they submitted, and what they found out was that the ethics committee rejected, didn't approve their proposal, but they saw them doing that proposal elsewhere. And when we asked them, did you confront the ethics committee? What they told us is that they cannot do anything about it. I said, no. You need to complain. There is a section in the code that says National Ethics Committee will adjudicate in such cases. They don't have that right to do that to you. Somebody told me, I sat down in my office, and I believe I don't need to get any ethics software, but what I'm doing, I'm not working on women participants. And I looked at him at the face. I said, you are lucky. If for any reason I come to your office and I spy the research you are doing, just spying, and I go back to go and write up the same research, and I submit to the ethics committee, and the ethics committee gives me approval, who amongst us plagiarized? Which one? Which one of the other one? The man that didn't submit. How do we know what you are doing? We're talking of data. How do we know the research that are going on? I was arguing with Oliver when I was sitting with him the other time, when somebody mentioned that we've not done any research in this country. I said no. In year 2000, Professor Oyedeji, when HIV was so rampant and we were looking at, he asked all of us to go out. So we come to the whole of the states in Nigeria. Several papers were published on this. Oliver said, no, he's not talking about HIV. I said, there are people, in fact, there are many students' projects that you don't know about. Most of them are not recorded. And I tell ethics committee, the institutional structure, that you are the ones that are the custodian of this data. There should be a repository of all researches going on in law institutions in the ethics committee. Even if you are doing music, you are doing theater arts. Even if you say we don't need to actually review, come and register so that we can know. If anybody asks, have we done this before? We're able to know that such work has been done. The next thing is when you are preparing your protocol, it must be methodologically rigorous. That was why my friend was talking seriously about data management. Not that you just write, it is going to be tested statistically. We don't know the meaning of what you have said. You should do comprehensive review of literature. Oliver was just telling me there when somebody mentioned the issue of somebody having references and it's not even verifiable. That is complete fraud. Because you are meant to check. Whether you generated through AI or AZ, I don't even know. But the most important thing there is that even if AI gives you information, and that's why I said, for me, AI only collect information from people and give to you. If you want to look at me, please don't stone me, I'm sorry. I might look at AI even as plagiarism, which you don't check. Because what is AI? Do AI have, in fact, he was telling me that some journals, some editors will tell you don't put their papers on any AI or check through any of the Turnitin. Because once they get it, that is the information they also need. Because we need to be checking some of the things we do deeply. So do your work, make sure you have rigorous, comprehensive review of the literature, and then accurate samples and correct method of analysis. Because all scientifically flawed researches are unethical to implement. Ethics takes it all. Unethical researches you cannot implement. Scientifically flawed researches you cannot implement. But if it is even scientifically sound and unethical, you can't also implement. That is what that means. Then you should plan to submit your protocol for approval. What do we do in ethics committee? We only send to your peers to look at what you have written, and then we get to know whether what you have done is okay. There must also be valid informed consent with your protocols, valid ones. Be sure that you plan to obtain valid informed consent before you you go to the field to do the research. Sometimes we see people promising more than what they will do, even in the informed consent process. They'll say, oh, they have asked us to come from Federal Ministry of Health. They are doing some work on National AIDS Reproductive Health Survey. Government wants to know how many hospitals to breed in your community. Is that what the government wants to achieve by that research? The answer is no. That's why we say valid. Then you must think of the safety and well-being of the people you are enrolling on the research. So all these, they are your thinkings before you even go to submit your protocols. Because those are what the ethics committee will be checking. Do you look at the risk calculus? You, as even the person writing the research, you must be competent. Again, we talk about authorship, we talk about collaborative research. Your findings must be disseminated, particularly, which is the first one that we must be thinking about if we want to talk about integrity. And I'm sure many of us fail in this shoe, that the study participants should be the first beneficiary of the information we get from the research. That is it. Like Uncle Demo will always say, now think of it whether you have been doing it like that. And under your breath, if you haven't been doing it, you just say, But if you have been doing it, you say, It means that how many of us finish? In fact, some people will know that the promotion is in May, next month, and they'll be sending out papers today for publishing in the journals. How would they have time to even go and do what we call a co-meeting with the community? And if you ask me where is the community, there are people that you collected these samples from. Out of a case in lawsuit, not that lawsuit conducted the research. One, this researcher came in, which I call ethics of screening. He took samples from participants. They waited for her first month, second month, third month. She came after the 6th month to come and tell them the results. It's on cervical cancer. And when he came in the hall, just dropped results. And we tell you, are you coming? You want to come and tell you, please go in. So some of them will now check and check and check and check. They will not go back to her. You can't find her results. And she will laugh. Then you are lucky. That is the answer. So that means, how did you treat those participants? You screen them, they don't even know their results. And when they come, the ones that pick their results, you now begin to tell anyone that didn't see, say you are lucky, you can go. Is that a dissemination of results? So when we're talking of it, there are many things we do that we need to think about. So as a researcher, you must plan to conduct your science with honesty, responsibility, and professionalism. And that's what we're talking about in institutional structure. If you don't know, we'll be talking about it just now, that there are structures for you to follow through when you are going to be looking at your protocol. Number one, as researchers, you must be well trained. In our ethics committee, one of the things we do, because people argue, no, if you are sending proposals to anybody, blind it. I said, no, why are we blinding it? If I blind it, how will I know the person has the competence to do the research? I don't know him. Because one of the sections of our submission is project team. In the project team, we have the name, the role of the person on the research, the responsibility, and the CV. You want to check whether if somebody tells me he will be looking at a child, whether it's a pediatrician, I want to check. Oh, this is our statistician. How do I know whether this man even know F test or T test? Somebody went further and said they can lie on the CV. I said, I agree with you. But they have peers. In the CV, we see the school you go to, we see where you are working. Is it not? If we doubt what we are seeing, we ask. There's no way you will mention people in the profession of Oliver that you will not know. If you didn't know, we'll call somebody and say, please, I saw this, can you help me? So, whoever is conducting must be well trained, must also be ready to follow the protocol. That's why we are here. That's under integrity. We've seen a situation where we actually approved a research, truly. I won't mention it's an NGO. I won't mention the NGO. And they have taught us a lesson that every proposal that comes in, we will now give them versions. So when you submit, we call it version 1. When we send to you, we call it version 2. So that we approved version 5 of that proposal. Get it right. When they got to the field, they reverted to their original thinking, version 1. Many corrections we have made. But look, just let me let you know, whether it is committee I'm monitoring or not, I want to try to incise you on your sipita. Yoruba will say, there are people on the field that are whistleblowers. You are just lucky up to the time you are. Some whistleblowers saw these people doing the research, and they saw one thing that is not right. They now ask them, which ethics committee approved your research? They were so bold to mention them, Nigerian Institute of Medical Research Ethics Committee. Oliver there was the chairman then. The next thing we had a phone call. You did people approve this research? Do you know what they are doing on the field? You are not monitoring those, it's fine. What are they doing? Exactly what we asked them not to do. Now they were showing them a protocol of the initial thing they had planned to do, not what we actually approved. So we need to know that if you want to maintain integrity as a researcher, what you are proposed to do in your protocol is what you do. Don't change the goalpost. When the game is into about 30 minutes, somebody will ask you, how possible? And your data must be recorded the way you observe it and you hear it. You don't modify or omit data. Because I see asks, I don't know, maybe statisticians are here. What do we call data cleaning? I see argue that thing. Cleaning of data. What are you cleaning data? What are you cleaning data? I'm ready to learn. I'm not saying, yeah, no, that is wrong. No, I didn't say so. I want to learn. And I've been asking. Data cleaning is, okay, good. Report honestly with as little bias as possible. So you must have in your mind what you want to do and be ready to publish your findings. So let's go through history. What led to the institutional structures? What I've been talking about, you sent for ethics review. We didn't get there today. Something happened. We can see this that happened in Nuremberg. Nuremberg should be a city in Germany. When did it happen? It was following World War II. The court that where the judgment was given was International Military Tribunal at Nuremberg, who are the defendants, leading Nazi doctors. What was their charge? their charge was war crimes and crimes against humanity. When you do a research without integrity, two things you are doing. Number one, you are committing crime against humanity. That's number one. Number two, you are actually eroding public trust of scientists. Think of it. It is not fair for you to go and fish. You know, fish will always be by the beach. I don't know whether you're a fisherman when everything is calm. When you finish fishing, you decide not to disturb the water. Others will not be able to get fish again. It is what you do and the way you behave that people will look at other people coming. They will just say, Yoruba has a way of saying it, that somebody that raped you by giving you a biscuit can only succeed once. If another person is trying it, he will remember that, this was what happened to me the last time. I won't fall into this. And fish also do that. When they see that, it's the same place. And the most smart animal that does that more is rats. They're able to know that yesterday when I passed through this place, this is what happened to me. So we try. And the same thing in research. Be sure that you don't commit this verdict. Guilty of premeditated murder masqueraded as research. Can you imagine that if somebody classify your research process as premeditated murder masqueraded as research? Look at the kind of experiment they did. We know them. No informed consent or voluntary decision to participate. The people were there, most of them were designed to terminate in a fatal outcome. And what was their offense? No ethical consideration before the conduct of the research. I'm telling you what led to institutional structures. They justify what they have done. They said the experiment designed to gain knowledge on certain wartime conditions. Sometimes they say military necessity. And they said that, these prisoners were not human beings. These participants were not human beings. They were community people. Okay. So you have another definition for human being. Because they were prisoners, they were condemned to death anyway. That was what they said happened during that time. But look at this slide. What happened at the end of the trial? They did good experiments, but this was what one of the dissemination of what happened in their research. Let me put it that way. 20 doctors were tried, 15 were found guilty, and 7 were sentenced to death. Imagine if we finish any research and then we are tried and we are sentenced to death for the research we have done. Don't forget, there's National Health Act backing the fact that you must do research with integrity. We'll get there. After this that was 1948. In 1966, somebody wrote an article again, was able to find out there are several other people. So people will tell me, KSO, don't believe, if I just want to send it to ethics committee. So people are publishing with that. I said, go ahead. I've seen it before. I was passing one way, but I didn't know. Truly speaking, that's transparency. I did not know. So I saw cars passing. And this policeman left cars before me and stopped me and said, I rolled down. I rolled down. I said, you are passing one way. And I pointed to the people in my front. He said, no. Don't you know you are on one way? I said, look at it. He said, no, I'm talking about you. He arrested me that day and proved to me that I'm on one way. So the fact that people have passed the place, they have done that, you might not be free. One day in Nigeria, people that are stealing our money, this is what is going to happen. Because people have already had plans. I will steal so much so that I will get out. You will not know when a Traore will become the president of this country. He won't tell you. And once it happens, you will not be surprised. So I'm going like this, just like you are gone. Not that you are going. So it is good that you need to think of it anytime you are doing what you are doing. His article still said that people were still doing unethical research after what happened in Nuremberg. You can wonder. That means what we have done, what we are doing, or what we will gain from this conference will not be enough. It has to be that for a deaf person, what you need to do to be ringing the bell constantly. That's why Yoruba will say, Koro Koro, Landifa, Aditi. You continue to say it. So when somebody asks, why should the course say every 2 years? You should be trained. I ask the question too. Even when you go back after the 2 years, you still meet the same people. They are like completely do not know most of the things you said 2 years ago. Not because you don't want to know it, but that is the attitude of human beings. So that is the advent of the institutional structure for submission of protocols. And I will show you the way it goes. Now, the earliest HREC was in 1953, extended in 1962, extramural research supported by U.S. Public Health Service. In 1967, the Royal College of Physicians made statement that research should be subject to ethical review. But most of these times, there were no legal statements and guidelines on what this should be. So we can see Dr. Stryer in 1946, in 1948, Geneva Declaration, in 1964, the Declaration for Helsinki, in 1966, Bichar's article, syphilis trial. After all these things we have had, people were still committing unethical trial. In 1979, we have the Memont report that, make sure that you consider 3 principles: autonomy, beneficence, and justice. Then, beneficence have not been splitted into 2. Still, people still continue. But the rule for the Assessment for Ethics Committee started in 1980. The institutional structures are meant to look at these principles when they're actually reviewing. Their principles: autonomy, justice, beneficence, non-maleficence, confidentiality, honesty. And I will slash this honesty with integrity. Like I always mention 2 statements. I said, you need to know that your honesty should also move forward to sincerity. The sincerity in whatever you are doing. And it means that what you are doing, can you accept it? Or can you allow? I watched a film. One woman, they put what they call thunderbolt. That's the meaning of what they call, but you call it magun. She has magun on her. And somebody said he has removed the magun through the other fetish means. And they need to test. So they were looking for a man to test, to sleep with the woman. But suddenly this lady, the nephew of the woman that is in this experiment, that's not the one that has magun now. The nephew, he was dating that girl. So the girl went to him, that, look, come and help me out. He didn't tell him that she has magun. So as they were preparing, the woman that was at the back end of the ceremony now came and said, my brother will not be the one to go and die. But what you told us was that they've already removed it from her. So in that way, the woman is not sincere. I mean, she's not too sure. The things we do too, can we put ourselves there? Like I always tell people, there are 2 words that we think are different from each other. Duty and rights. To me, they are the same. Duties and rights, they are the same. My duty is your right. That's the way it is. And my own right is your duty. I can prove it to you. Now, your duty now is not to make noise the way you are doing, and then you are listening to me. That means you are attentive. You are listening. That is my right from you. My own duty also is to be audible. If I'm not audible, I'm depriving you of your right. So you can ask me, sir, speak to the microphone. You are asking for your right you did not know. You thought you are telling me something. I have the right to hear you, and I'm ready to listen. So it is the same way. And that means when you are doing research, actually just shift the position. Just say, if it is me, what will have happened? And then their composition and their review process. And when there's violation, what they should do when they are actually doing the look at this. Look at the diagram for ethics committee. Let's count. Here we have the member secretary. You should have a lay person, philosopher, social scientist, legal expert, 1 or 2 clinical scientists, 1 or 2 basic scientists, and the chairperson. They are the institutional structure that came after all the problems that happened in Nuremberg. and then the other ones in Tuskegee. People now saw that we cannot trust ourselves as researchers. Yes, that is the statement. We can't trust ourselves. And I always ask people, if that means if I submit ethics proposal to you, will you review it? Don't think that KSO knows ethics. It's the person that knows the rule, that knows how to break it. So don't allow that to happen. When I give you, if I ask Oliver, when I reviewed one of his own proposals, I sat down with it and I took enough time. When I finished, nobody could see anything that is left to be reviewed because he's my friend. I should be the one to tell him the truth. I'll look at him at the face, Oliver, we are friends. This is what you should do. But people will say, no, this is from the chairman of the IHVN. No, Professor Clement Adepamowo have sent this proposal. We don't need to review. Why? You should subject it to it because that is the essence of it. Most of the time, those things we tell people we might not remember. I must just let you know. So, responsible must submit and obtain approval of their study from accredited. See the word, accredited. Yesterday, President Bola, the chairman of NREC, told us that we don't have that figure. Somebody asked, how do we know whether an ethics committee is accredited? The accreditation has its own process, and it is in the code. Then the committee must look at the science and the ethics. As a researcher, you must avoid plagiarism. And then you must demonstrate integrity as a researcher and the recs. That's why I mentioned the recs themselves should not collect proposal by looking for ideas. We have not gone to do audit. But there might be some ethics committee that does that. Collect, and when they get that, they will now try to develop the same idea they are seeing. I tell the ethics committee that number one, you either have ethics or not. That's number one. Number two, what you are doing is for the society. Number three, what you do here must end here. You don't do anything else. And if you have something that you want to write it now, submit for ethics committee. Make sure that your case will not be like the dream of a dog. Yoruba will say the dream of a dog. If a dog dreams, who is he going to tell? It will die inside that dog. If you don't want your idea to turn to that, you need to always, when you put it down, like my friend said this morning, don't think it should be too good. Put it down so that you can quickly, because you don't know, as we are sitting there, you might just pick a topic on your own and it might be what I'm thinking about. But because I'm ethics committee, I can't do anything with your work again. Sorry, where am I? Let's forward. Okay. All of us must demonstrate integrity. And the ethics committee must know that our work is to safeguard the rights, safety, and well-being of the actual and potential. That takes me to the issue of dissent and assent, and consent. Somebody told me, I said, okay, if you are asked to actually take 35 samples or recruit 35 participants, anyone that did not agree to do that research, is that person part of your participants? Yes. Yes. Because there's eligibility criteria. Isn't it? And you have recruited these people. So who are the people that will give you the sense? So that means you say for 35, you get 35. We start querying you and be asking. So everybody you talk to agree with you. Let's think of it. The institutional structure must reassure society that the independent review of the research has occurred. That was why we wound up when we were called on that issue of the research that I mentioned to you that they were doing differently. They were actually testing the screening for hepatitis among men that have sex with men. We have to own up that, look, we screened it. We don't want to now say, no, I want to dissociate myself from it. No. Let the public know that you did it. And I was telling Oliver yesterday that how do you know the ethics committee are accredited? We've been told that your proposal letter heading should have your current approval by National Health Research. It's always stated there. And the year is there. And we know that if it is 2025 that we are seeing there, it has expired in 2027. True or false? So when they give you, except the people do some of these things, cunningly, or they don't even know the meaning of the things we are actually talking about. So when you give me an approval, I check. I was just saying it recently. Sorry for using Olive every time because I sat with him. My chairman in the University of Lagos Research Ethics Committee just called me and said somebody faked our approval letter. A student in another school. We don't need anything. Number one, most people didn't know that the logo of University of Lagos is not the popular logo that you know. Yes. They even have to be telling every one of us that this is the real logo of University of Lagos. There are some things that immediately I looked at and I said, no, this cannot be from us. Because the person was using the old logo. Number one. Number two, we didn't see anything like national accreditation number. That is what they normally write. Am I correct? I mean, no. But put it there, and we didn't see it. So it was a professor from another school that sent it to his friend, who is my chairman, and asked him, did you really approve this research? So it has been happening. So when you now say you don't know ethics committee that are accredited, that is one joke. I mean, one clue I've just given to you, that you should know by virtue of the research, the protocol approval they have given to you. An ethics committee must also make sure they do risk calculus. They must assess the risk and make sure that the risk in the research is completely low or non-existent. I know you tell me that risk cannot be. No, I agree with you. So that when we're talking of people are coerced to come and do a research by the money you are giving them, I keep arguing. You cannot compensate people, for God's sake. Time is not remuneratable. It's difficult. It's difficult. We always give this example. A woman that you have to come to your center for a research, she's the woman that sells fish by the beach. Very early in the morning, she has gone there from 4:30. We, the customer, by 5:30, 6:30, we are meeting her. We're already buying the fish off her. And she had made almost 40,000 between that 4:30 and 7:30. When you are just going to work, to go and do a day work, she has made 40,000. That day she's coming to, she can't be able to go to that place. And she will not come to your center. The next day, you say 40,000 is too much for this woman. How much is she making per day? Serious wrong assumption. So how do you compensate her time? So ethics committee are meant to sit down to make sure that they don't allow the research to be risky. If research is not risky, think of it. Why should we say the amount we are giving the person is too much? I'm asking the question. Let's check now. If because we still leave it, we don't know. Then they have different names in different countries. We have REC, Research Ethics Committee, Independent Ethics Committee, Institutional Review Board, Ethics Review Committee. They are all the same committees. And again, you can see from all the arguments we have there, looking at the legitimacy, because in our school, they've challenged us. Who made you Lord over us? That's what they ask. Why should we say that our paper should come through this structure before we get approval? You are wasting our time. We refer them. In Nigeria now, Ethics Committee have been legitimized by the National Health Act of 2014. People should go and read. I will show you the sections as I'm completing this particular presentation. Then, all these things are what they look at. Research question, design, background, rationale, need for your data, safety monitoring, clarity of the method, statistical plan, risk-benefit analysis, equitable distribution of the subjects, the informed consent and privacy and confidentiality. Those ones, people have mentioned it, so let's go on. When you are writing your research, please screen them yourself. Make this a checklist. What's the essentiality of your research? Are you maximizing public interest and social justice, like Morenike just said now? That are we getting grants or doing all this because we want to publish more papers? What is the essence? We have asked the question, you've done malaria so much in this community, but the community people are still coming down with malaria. What research have you done? So we shouldn't be talking about it again. If we are going to be sincere, we should do what will help our society to move on. But every one of us, we want to do HIV, malaria, and tuberculosis, which we call ATM. ATM is AIDS, HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis is the T, and M is the malaria, because that is where the money is. Exactly. There are many things that people talk about this. So why don't we do things that will help our society? Then you must be knowledgeable. You must have the ability and commitment to do review. These are questions you ask yourself. Am I competent? I'm going to be taking samples from the stomach of these participants. Am I a gastroenterologist? Do I have the competence? Not saying I don't like to call a gastroenterologist. I will do what by yourself? That means you are not even knowledgeable. You must respect and protect the autonomy, rights, and dignity of your participants. You don't treat them as invisible, or you downgrade them because they are the ones that you are dealing with. You must think of their privacy, anonymity, and their confidentiality. You must also find risk minimization measures to help. I remember the one student that worked with me. She collected sample from one of our colleagues. And you know, women don't like anything to stain their flesh. Immediately she collected the blood, there was air embolism. The girl was annoyed. How can you collect sample for your research and you actually destroy my hand? So, you need to be sure that you minimize risk. You don't come and say, I don't know what will happen. Because the person you're talking about, especially when you are doing even researches on HIV preventive research, which your participants must be ab initio HIV free. And along the line, they get seroconverted. And we're asking you, when you are doing that research, please, why don't you think of insurance so you are sure nothing will happen? What if it happens? Then non-exploitation of the participants, publication of your research in public domain. Let us know what you have done. One, for the reason of people reproducing your work, checking what you have done, because your method must be reproducible. This is science. Again, you must be accountable and transparent, and you must have totality of responsibility. Well, these are the questions, even when you are doing international collaborative research ethics committee, they will ask, who is designated as a local principal investigator? When I was the investigator from UK said, no. If I tell him now that I want to be the investigator, I say, our jurisdiction will not be able to catch him if there's a problem in UK. But we can see you. Everybody will always say it. When we draw the chain will draw the person that the chain is hooked on. So we need to know that whatever you are doing and you are part of that research, be ready to be responsible here. And then they will also ask, does it address the ethical challenges of conducting research in the development conduct your research? Because we are the ones that is asking you. We were talking yesterday about research policy in Nigeria. I know we have one in national, in the National Health Research Health Policy, isn't it? Chapter 6 is the research agenda of this country. I mean, this chapter has changed. I'm telling you, because I know that that's the chapter in that National Research Policy. Yes. So if you want to know the agenda we do, researchers, we can't sit in the corners of our room and then be saying something and say it doesn't exist. Have you looked for it? You have not. How will you ensure free and voluntary informed consent at the risk of volunteers accepting the social context of the host country? Like somebody was asking me, how can you say community consent? I say, if that is what is going to happen, community consent, they will not even answer you in that community. So you can't recruit them. And you can't force them to say you want to recruit them, because overseas it has to be individual consent. So it's not compulsory they are recruited, fine. If you have a problem, we always put at the end of approval. If there's a problem, you can't start this research as at the time that we approve it. Please let us know. Don't wait. Just tell us that we have issues, so we want to redraft or do some different modification. We will take the approval back and then allow you. Because I've been issued that your approval is not sacrosanct in the first instance. We can withdraw it if there is violation on the field. So it's like your degree. It's not that because you get a I have approval for this. If you have done something wrong, we say, please, we are withdrawing our approval. Now, issue of regulatory agencies. I think we should know now. that aside ethics approval, other institutional structure is NAFDAC. If you are doing clinical trials, there are regulatory agencies. Currently, there's another Ministry of Environment, now, that is also overseeing some researches. One of our researchers traveled out, and then we started talking about Nagoya Protocol. How many of us know about Nagoya Protocol here? And I have to fly all the way from Lagos to come. So I told them, once we send it through email, that's not good enough. They said, no, that the paper might get lost. I have to travel down. And as I'm still talking to you, we've not gotten approval from the Federal Ministry of Environment, not Federal Ministry of Health. Then another one is the National Data Agency. Those ones are also checking the data you are transferring. So when we're talking of DTA now, data transfer agreement, we should be thinking of those agencies. So as a researcher, or as an investigator, many things are in your pot. You can't just say, oh, my own is just to write the research and leave. And that's why there's a whole gamut of training, or what we call responsibility of investigators. There are many things that rest on you. And then we have told you, you must be deliberate in your research. So these are the benefits of research. Approval by an ethics committee is now increasingly becoming an important requirement for publication of research findings in some journals. So ethics committee also help to identify research misconduct. Well, let me let you know, the work of ethics committee is very difficult. We saw one reviewer reviewed, and the review was, please sir, this paper is plagiarized, so don't approve it. That is what the reviewer sent to the ethics committee. What do you want us to do now? We investigated and discovered that he has already promised the supervisor of that student that your paper will not go. At least I may review to ethics committee, and I know that they will send this paper to me. Yes, it happened to my ethics committee. When we investigated, we saw nothing was done. And we eventually did the review and approved the research. Guess what? The reviewer wrote us a stinker that whatever you like do your ethics committee, I know you are going, it's a wishy-washy ethics committee, you can. And then I wanted to take it up because he's the one that is even doing a misconduct. So ethics committee can also be doing misconduct. Because it's part of us. Don't say it's a reviewer. It's part of us. We have screened the CV. We have his names as part of our reviewers. So we take the responsibility. You see a lot of things. These are our challenges. People request for this prospective approval. They finish the work and they will not come to you and say, can I get approval for it? But we now tell them, we don't approve retrospective approval. Again, people do research without review. And then, this is so popular. The chairman mentioned this today, Professor Adegbola mentioned this. Lack of resources, money, staff, equipment to run an HREC the way it should be run. That's always that problem. We can count it at the point of our fingers. Committees that are fully funded and supported. I actually want to thank Nigeria's Medical Research in this case. What they do is that they make sure that when they're even doing their budget, there's money for ethics committee. How many universities can beat their chest that they will budget for ethics committee? They will put you under, in fact, some universities will put us under IGR. You need money, they will ask how much have you made? I say, ethics committee, how much have you made? Yes, sir, that's the problem between us and NAFDAC, sir. I'm just explaining. Sorry to say this on this podium. Because when people have money in this country, they are better off. Really speaking. This is the way people see ethics committee, that we hold club, we don't want you to go. But the answer is no. We always say that ethics committee, when you submit, your paper should leave our table better than the way it came. You can't tell me you disapprove. You must tell the person what to do. These are some of the interventions. We keep doing this kind of training. We expedite the process of the government, the code says 90 days for review. In our own committee, we reduce it to 6 weeks. 90 days is 12 weeks. If you are a student, it's 2 weeks. We do all this, but still, we are not meeting up because that is what we found out. I now take you to the document on research ethics in Nigeria. That's our own code. Find time. Go to the internet. Go to the website. There are 2 websites now for NREC. Sorry, sir. www.nrec.net. There's one. It's still functioning, Prof. Then www.ecel-rite, nrec.gov.ng. We have the two of them. So we will need a clarification on the one that is fully updated. If you go there to the .NET, you will still see version 12 of the code. And if we are talking about version, that means the code is dynamic. That is the meaning, that it keeps improving every time. So I quoted this one because I learned this is the latest, sir. www.nrec.gov. Thank you, sir. I quoted this, but I went to the two because I asked my friend, I said, I want to quote how many ethics committees are accredited and actually functioning. And he asked me to go and check the website. Sir, it's not on this website, but you alluded to it yesterday, so there's no point stressing that. So we need to know that when something is being, somebody tells you anything, it's better you go and cross-check, find out. Don't just take it, nook and stinker. Every researcher must comply with the regulations in the national code. So there's something like I don't know. And we should also, by all HRECs, we should also embrace the code. Also, we can contribute to the development. You can write. Don't say, I've been writing. One day they will look at you. Somebody said, it's one of our elders, about the two of them, they told us yesterday that the only thing that they will not lose in Nigeria is hope. Tomorrow, the hope of Nigeria will rise. Somebody say amen to that. So these are the committee systems in Nigerian institutions. So don't be wondering whether we have it. Though this one was in UIUCH in 1981. Others were established in 1980, 1990s. Oliver, NIMA's one is 2004. Oliver, when we are claiming NIMA is the oldest, can we see here now? So this was year 2000. This was 1981. But what happened is that many of them came up. You know, Morenike mentioned it that the one of ethics committee of University of Lagos came up when Professor Ogunshola, our VC, wanted to do a research, and there's no ethics committee for the screening. Many of them, they were funded by the grant that the researcher has. And once the research is finished, that ethics committee goes with the research. But the one University of Lagos, we are still living till today. At least I am one of the people that, I can talk about that. So in 1980, National Ethics Committee, this national HREC we're talking about, came into place in the Federal Ministry of Health. But then, most reviews were ever channeled to NIMA. So you can see NIMA standing in the position they should be to make sure that researches are reviewed. And the following renewed concerns over allegations on ethical research and recognition of increasing research, the Honorable Minister reconstituted the National Health Research in 2006. So you can see this gap. What happened between 1980 and this 2006? But the institutional structure is now waxing stronger in the country. So the area mandate content now became what we are using from the National Health, National Health Act. And we'll be going to the National Act now. This is National Health Act of 2014. And I went to download some portions that are important, so you can see it here. All right. This is the National Health Act. If you now go to this section A158, from A158 to 160, I wouldn't know whether you can see it from there. The one I saw is not in electronic format. It was scanned. That's why I'm having it this way. So if you can get us the electronic one, fine. Up to the third page of 160, you will see. And I want to try and see whether I can read that everyone, I think that's page 30 of it, that said every researchist must go through ethics review. And it's there in the law. We are not talking of national code. In the law. So imagine if your research didn't go through ethics review and you are now summoned in the court of law. You can imagine. Exactly, because illegal, thank you, that lawyer. I think we are in the same bar. Though, there are different types of bars. So some bars, they drink beer. Some bars, they do law. And difference between bar and bench. I don't know which one now. Whether we are in the same bench or the same bar. The law says that. This is an act now. So if you now say, there are students, just pray, nothing happens. If something happens, the lawyer will just say, we'll just collect money from you, and then it now becomes another scandal that will be studied like the way we are studying the one of Nuremberg. But this is the last question I have. Are there still unethical practices in Nigeria? You can see my answer. Yes, 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 and what? And yes. So we continue to advocate. As we are all here, we should turn to advocates of research integrity. Check yourself first. Do an audit of yourself. Don't just begin to look at others. Then when you're able to find out that, oh, at least I got, let me not say 100%, maybe 75. Then look at others. Tell them. If somebody is not sending this paper for approval in the school, let the person know. See some of the things we find out. People don't seek informed consent from study participants. They ask the supervisor to pay for research. They will ask them to go and do a test that they know they want to use for research. And the participants will pay. That's so bad. And ethics committee, unfortunately, because of funds, we are unable to monitor. Some of these things are happening. You conduct research without ethics approval. Somebody was about to retire. And he went to my superior and said, please, sir, help me tell Professor Oyedeji that it was when I want to publish. The editor said, where is my ethics approval? So you should try and review the protocol and give me ethics approval. I said, how, sir? Do you want the name of the investigator to come out in Punch? No. Let's ask about that. And one postgraduate student was not lucky. I must tell you this story too. The NREC came to train us in University of Lagos Research Ethics Committee. The dean of the postgraduate school was there. Then we were on recess just for tea break. Meanwhile, during that particular time, defense was going on in the postgraduate school. So he just went back to the postgraduate school to just go and relax, and then, so he entered into the defense hall. Because what we have said there is that every research must have ethics approval. So the only question he asked the candidate, can you show me your ethics approval? Guess the answer of the PhD student. My professor said I do not need it. Believe me, it's a life story, and I'm telling you the truth. That student did not graduate that year. How the student ended, I don't know. I mentioned the issue of one way to you the other time. That one was unlucky. The man refused. He said this program cannot go on because there's all land. You can imagine what we're talking about. So you cannot say your supervisor said I don't need it. You are meant to know. So that's why I want to make you advocates of this. You are the one that should be going around. Look at a student. Because ethics approval is so important, he went and forged our approval. Can that student graduate? Even if he graduates, can the university withdraw the certificate? It's as that dangerous. So when we're talking of integrity, it's about you yourself, not only to the society. So when you conduct research that is also benefits, it's not too good. Research, recruit for us, I can see it, MCC. I'm looking at this one. They've just changed the CC. It's 521. Okay, integrity is about keeping to time. So, so what that means is that your research must be of benefit to the study participants. So these are some important links. Guideline for submit application for review. NREC have a protocol like that. So ethics committee that have not actually prepared this. This is why I put this on here for you. Registered ethics committee in Nigeria. I have to warn. There is a one in here. This NREC.net. I only saw 43 there. And I'm not sure that 43 is correct at all. I don't know the number myself, but now it's also a challenge to NREC that, Prof, sir, even without the office, we can get this information. True or false, sir? So whether we have money or not, let's get this number so that it can be an encouragement to ethics committee that are actually accredited and the ones that are not accredited. Then if you want to download the National Health Act, you can go to this site also. You will only see the scanned copy and go to just A158, A159, A160. You will now see. If you have not been submitting your protocol for approval, then you know that you are risking something that is so germane. Finally, there's intimate relationship between research and ethics. There's no way that they are intertwined. The contribution of ethical perspective, particularly in the of research, ethical research, is invaluable. You cannot remove ethics from it. Then we need to identify the challenges. And what are those challenges? If you obtain valuable data without prior ethics approval, I don't know what is going to happen to those data. Because it becomes useless. You have wasted money. you have wasted time and you have wasted people's resources. And for integrity, you must communicate, be transparent, and then give update on crucial factors in ethical consideration and conduct of research. I want to say thank you for listening, and I wish us a fruitful deliberation in this 3 minutes. Integrity.